When Lauren was 15 years old, her family moved across the country and she started going to a new school. Already shy, Lauren suffered from low self-confidence and had a hard time transitioning. Nothing felt right, and soon her changing body became a source of insecurity. Eventually, she began thinking that maybe if she lost weight and focused on fitness, she'd make more friends and feel better about herself, and life would get better. Soon she became obsessed with dieting, and it quickly spiraled into her subsisting only on rice cakes and apples and candy corn and celery. She liked this new feeling of control every time she stood on the scale and saw a lower number. She was achieving something, and that made her feel good. Soon, she thought of nothing else. But what Lauren couldn't see was that she was no longer healthy, even when her hair started falling out and her skin grew dry and cracked, and when she could never get warm. When she looked in the mirror, she still saw a chubby girl. Her family, though, did notice, and yet, at a visit to the doctor, she was just told to eat more. She didn't. One day, while jogging, she had a heart attack and collapsed. As a teenager, she was 5'7" and weighed 82 pounds. Lauren was finally admitted to a psychiatric hospital where she was treated for anorexia nervosa. She was put on bed rest, saw a therapist twice a week, joined a support group, and slowly began eating small amounts of food again. Her recovery was slow, but with the support of her family and doctors, she was released 8 months later. Though Lauren suffered a few relapses over the years, she is now healthy. Ultimately, she was lucky. Anorexia, bulimia, and other eating and body dysmorphic disorders can kill.
Eating disorders are psychological illnesses defined by abnormal eating habits that may involve either insufficient or excessive food intake to the detriment of an individual's physical and mental health. They include extreme emotions, attitudes, and behaviors surrounding weight and food issues. Bulimia nervosa and anorexia nervosa are the most common specific forms of eating disorders. Other types of eating disorders include binge eating disorder and OSFED.
Anorexia nervosa is a serious, potentially life-threatening eating disorder characterized by self-starvation and excessive weight loss. There are 2 types of anorexia. The first one is binge eating or purging type, which involves binge eating and/or purging behaviors during the last 3 months. The second type is called the restricting type, and it does not involve binge eating or purging. It just involves a form of self-starvation.
Bulimia nervosa is a serious, potentially life-threatening eating disorder characterized by a cycle of binging and compensatory behaviors such as self-induced vomiting designed to undo or compensate for the effects of binge eating. Bulimia affects 1 to 2 of adolescent and young women. 80% of the patients are female, and they usually appear to be of normal body weight, which makes this disease hard to detect.
Binge eating disorder is a type of eating disorder that is characterized by recurrent binge eating without the regular use of compensatory measures to counter the binge eating. Binge eating disorder affects approximately 1 to 5% of the total population. Of this percentage, it normally affects slightly more women than men. It is often associated with depression, and people who struggle with this disorder normally have a lower quality of life.
prevalence of binge eating and bulimia is similar among ethnic groups in the United States, anorexia is much more common among white women, often of higher socioeconomic status. But the prevalence of these disorders is rising in males too. Today, between 10 to 20% of people diagnosed with eating disorders are men who also feel the pressure to attain what they imagine is physical perfection.
Colors and promises, how to be brave, how can I love when I'm afraid to fall, but watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly goes away somehow.
Eating disorder signs and symptoms specific to a school setting include emotional, behavioral, and physical. Some of the emotional signs and symptoms include change in attitude performance, express body image complaints, concerns, and being too fat even though normal or thin, unable to accept compliments. Mood affected by thoughts about appearance, constantly compares self to others, self-disparaging, refers to self as fat, gross, ugly, overestimates body size, and strives to seize a perfect image while seeking constant outside reassurance about their looks. Some of the physical, specific to a school setting disorders and signs include sudden weight loss, gain, or fluctuation in short time. Also, abdominal pain, feeling full or bloated, feeling faint, cold or tired, dry hair or skin, dehydration, blue hands, feet, and lingual hair. Some of the behavioral signs and symptoms specific to a school setting include diets or chaotic food intake, pretends to eat, then throws away food, or skips meals. Also, exercise for long periods. Exercises excessively every day, can't miss a day, constantly talks about food, makes frequent trips to the bathroom, wears very baggy clothes to hide a very thin body, or weight gain, high normal body because of disease about body shape and size.
As a teacher, our responsibilities regarding our students' well-being and health come first and foremost. Based off of the information we have provided thus far, hopefully you will be able to detect if a student in your classroom is struggling with an eating disorder. So the question from here becomes what to do now. A few things that the administration can do to prevent the creation of insecurity in students is to help develop a student assistant program protocol. Designate a subgroup of at least 2 members to get smart about eating disorders and share their knowledge with faculty and staff. Create some specific guidelines on referrals for students suspected of having an eating disorder. Update school policy on anti-harassment and anti-discrimination policies to ensure they include provisions about physical appearance and body shape. Create policies not to weigh students publicly or in close proximity to fellow students. Advocate for nutritious foods in school cafeterias and ensure that students of all sizes are encouraged to participate in school activities. As a teacher, our job is much more personal and direct with the student struggling. One of the most important things about approaching a student with an eating disorder is maintaining a level of trust and confidentiality. Odds are the student is not being open with others about their disorder, and if they have confided in you, or if you have noticed, it is important that the teacher respects the student. Depending on the level of severity, as a teacher, you may feel led to contact the school counselor to deal with the issue or contact the student's parents to inform them on the issue as well. Besides all of this, it is so important for a teacher to create an environment where a student should never feel insecure or uncomfortable in their own skin. A classroom is a place where a student shouldn't be afraid to be themselves and to flourish and embrace their opportunity to learn.
And I started to question a lot of things in life, and I would research and just study for hours just to find some answers. So I started journaling, and I over time got to see what was in my heart. I realized that I had a lot of anger and a lot of resentment and a lot of hurt in my heart that I still have never dealt with. And then there was one day when I was throwing up, and I then started to throw up blood, and I've heard this voice in my head just saying, "This is why I died for you, so you could be free." And I just kind of felt overwhelmed with so much love in that moment, like love from God. And God created me, He loves me, and He wants me free, He wants me better, and I can't do this on my own strength. I need His strength, and He has the power to help me overcome. It's okay to not have it all together. It's okay to be vulnerable or to have struggles. Everyone struggles in different ways.